Welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy Mindfulness Monday, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. If you're new here, big welcome to you. Thank you for finding the courage and the space to try something new, to join a new community, to, I don't know, sign on to the internet. And if you're a returning mindfulness member, so glad to have you back. Please know that everyone will be muted for the duration of today's session. Feel free to use that chat function to communicate with myself, with Dr. Rush, or my colleague Brianna behind the scenes. Can share questions, thoughts, where you're joining from. It's always good to see everyone communicating through the chat. We do love to see you on camera, so if you're in a place and you're comfortable with it, I would love to encourage you to turn your camera on and see your Mindful Parkinson's community around the globe. Our next live English session will be held on February 2nd with Carrie Goodman. So next Monday is Martin Luther King Jr. Day. The foundation does celebrate that as a national holiday. And then the following week is our Spanish programming. So we will see you again live here on February 2nd. Don't forget about our other PD Health at Home programs that includes Wellness Wednesdays, Fitness Fridays, expert briefings, and our Spanish language series, Y Salud en Casa. You can learn more about our upcoming virtual programs and register at parkinson.org/PD Health. And today we welcome back Dr. Taylor Rush from the Cleveland Clinic. Dr. Rush, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Krista. It's wonderful to see everyone today. We have such a great group. I'm so excited to start off the new year, even though it's not quite new anymore. We're already 12 days in. And actually, I was just telling the PD Foundation folks, it is sunny in Cleveland today, which, if any of you have any idea, Cleveland does not tend to see much sun between December and April. And so anytime there is a sunny day, I definitely want to be mindful of it and enjoy it as much as possible. So I am very glad to join you on a sunny day from Cleveland. So I thought today we would talk a little bit about how to work with a sensitive nervous system. And talking about the nervous system as a health psychologist is something that I do fairly often with my patients because we know that when someone is dealing with Parkinson's symptoms, obviously there is nervous system involvement, there's brain involvement on more than one level. And I think sometimes people end up they experience things that they don't always have words for. And I really love being able to give that opportunity for people to learn words to describe some of what it is that they're experiencing. And something that people will come in and talk to me about, and this is both my folks who have Parkinson's as well as care partners, is that they feel like they have a nervous system that's always on edge or constantly alert. It's like you're always waiting for the next shoe to drop. And it might show up in different ways. So sometimes people might feel a little bit more jumpy. They have an exaggerated startle response in reaction to sounds. They might notice that they feel fairly overwhelmed in busy spaces, even when perhaps that has not been the case historically. They may notice that they have more freezing when something unexpected happens, or maybe even when they're just hanging out at home, notice that their body feels tense, even though things are, otherwise fine. And sometimes it can feel like your body reacts before your mind even has much time to understand what's happening. And we call this bottom-up processing. The body responds before the brain has time to interpret what's going on. And something that I'll often hear from people is that when they describe this experience to others, they might be told by loved ones or even healthcare providers, and perhaps this is very well-meaning, but not always helpful, is that, well, you just need to manage your stress better. And something that I really want to be clear about here is as I'm describing this hypersensitive nervous system activity, it's not a failure of stress management on your part. It's not a lack of coping. And it doesn't mean that you're doing things wrong or doing mindfulness wrong. And because we're all here to learn more about how to be mindful. Truly, it's your nervous system doing what it has learned to do to protect you. And we know that with Parkinson's itself, it's, the ongoing demands of managing symptoms, the uncertainty of each day in the future, appointments, medications, all of these daily micro adjustments that need to take place can make the nervous system more sensitive. One way of thinking about it, it's like a smoke detector that's becoming very responsive. It's not broken, it's just reacting really quickly and sometimes to things that aren't actually threatening or dangerous. And with care partners, I often see that this sensitivity comes from always being on for long periods of time, listening, anticipating, trying to stay ready in case something happens and their help is required. And over time, the nervous system forgets how to fully let down. And that's not anxiety. Truly, what I see it as is it's someone's care and responsibility and love that manifests in a survival state. So, as we think about mindfulness in this context, it's not about forcing relaxation or calm or making that startle response disappear. I don't think it's realistic, and I think it goes against every ounce of our own survival instinct. So instead, I want you to think about this a little differently. And in today's practice, I want us to consider the expectation is that we're going to help the nervous system recognize moments of safety, even small ones. So it doesn't have to stay on high alert all the time. And I tell people we all carry around a backpack of stress, responsibilities, everything that we're dealing with in day-to-day life. And we don't necessarily have the option of chucking the backpack and leaving it behind, but we do have the option of putting it down every once in a while and allowing the weight of that to come off just for a bit before we have to pick it back up and keep going. So that's kind of what I want us to try to accomplish here. And one important thing to really understand is that the nervous system doesn't learn through logic alone. You can say to yourself all day long, I'm okay. But what truly helps is when the body feels okay. So mindfulness can be a nice conduit to help us communicate safely directly with our bodies. So we're going to work gently with the body and the senses today. We're going to do a little bit of grounding, orienting, breathing. And these are skills that I would highly encourage you not just to use during meditation, but in the midst of real life circumstances. So when you are in demanding situations like at medical appointments or in a busy big box store, when you start to notice more symptoms or freezing, or sometimes when you suddenly wake up at night startled and you have no idea why. And I'm sure more than one of you can identify with that experience too. Now, remember, during our meditation practice today, if you notice that you're feeling restless or uncomfortable, it's okay. It doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. Just allow it to be an invitation to slow down in whatever feels kind to yourself. You are always able to make choices in this practice as to what feels best for you. Okay. So, with that disclaimer, as we settle into our practice for today, before we get deep into it, I just want you to take a moment to notice how alert or how tired does your body feel today? Do you notice any tension? And what does your breath feel like right now? And I'll tell you in full disclosure, my nervous system still feels a little ramped up from this weekend. I was at a very crowded, very demanding volleyball tournament with my daughter all weekend, which is a plethora of stimuli for hours on end. And I noticed that my body is still kind of riding the coattails of that a bit. And so, which maybe is part of the reason why I picked this topic today. So I think it is important to check in with yourself and notice, how am I feeling right now? What am I noticing? Not with judgment, not because we then have to change anything. We're just information gathering, okay? So as we consider that, let's start to get settled. Find a position. You can be seated, you can be reclined, just something that feels supportive for you right now in a way that allows your body to be held. And maybe noticing where your body is supported. You might notice that it's your feet resting on the floor, your spine resting against furniture, your sit bones settling into a cushion beneath you. Just feeling what's here. And as you're noticing that, maybe even saying to yourself, I am supported right now. So that even if you're having fluctuating symptoms, support remains here right now. Now, if your eyes are closed, I would ask you to consider opening them into a soft gaze and slowly look at the space around you. And maybe notice one color that stands out to you. Don't have to explain why, but just noticing a color in your environment. And then maybe notice one object in your line of sight that feels neutral or perhaps even pleasant. Maybe it's a picture on a wall or a pattern in the carpet or the wood grain on a piece of furniture. When we softly anchor to something literally in front of us, it can help our nervous system to orient and update itself. And if you'd prefer to close your eyes, you can also orient through sound. Maybe it's the gentle whir of a fan or traffic noise outside your window. Perhaps someone in another room. We're not judging the sounds as good or bad or calm or annoying. We're just noticing what they are. And to be able to singularly focus to something you can see or hear can then be an especially helpful tool when you're in crowds, busy waiting rooms. Again, it helps the body to be reminded, I know where I am. Now I want you to consider turning your attention inward and bringing your focus to the breath. And we're not trying to change the breath in any particular way. Just notice perhaps where you feel it most easily. Maybe it's around the nostrils or the lips, back of the throat, and your lungs, or just gently noticing the breath and the rhythm of it, allowing us to settle into what is. Now I'd actually invite you to gently lengthen your exhale. So inhaling as you naturally would, and then extending the exhale just a bit longer. So perhaps if you inhale for 3 seconds, you might exhale for 4 or 5 seconds. When we extend that exhale, the regulation of breath can actually signal a sense of safety to the nervous system. Often, when we're stressed, our exhale is quite short. To even extend that exhale by 1 or 2 seconds can help the nervous system to calm in the midst of challenging circumstances. I always say the breath is like your ruby slippers. You've had the power all along. And now I'd like you to consider shifting to noticing any tension. Maybe you notice it around the jaw, your shoulders, hands, back, legs. And we're not meeting it with a sense of should, like it should not be there. We're meeting it with curiosity and kindness. So you might just silently say to yourself, I notice tension here. Noticing something without trying to fix it often can help us to understand it better. And sometimes there can be a sound or a sensation or an interjecting thought that elicits a startle response or perhaps just distraction. And that is going to happen no matter how much control we think we have over our environment and ourselves. And in that moment, it is a perfect opportunity to perhaps feel your feet or notice the room or lengthen at least one exhale. So even after a distraction or a startle, your nervous system can still gently return to safety. Being able to ground to orient and to breathe. Maybe we practice doing that one more time here. So, feeling your feet on the ground, naming either one thing you can see in front of you or hear around you. And on your next breath, extending your exhale just a second or two longer than the inhale. Feeling the support of your own breath. And perhaps even saying to yourself, I know where I am and I am safe enough right now. And just remember to have a sensitive nervous system is not a weakness. It's just having a nervous system that has been working hard for a very long time. Even these brief pauses count. Imagine being able to offer your nervous system the same compassion you would to someone you care deeply about. It's not about asking yourself to do less. It's simply reminding your nervous system it does not have to do everything alone all the time. So let's take one more intentionally deep breath here, feeling the lungs fill, feeling that oxygen infuse the body. And then a slow, extended exhale. And when it feels right, start incorporating a little bit of intentional movement in the shoulders and the legs or feet and the hands, perhaps the neck. And coming back to our Zoom space here when the time feels right. Okay, starting to see eyes open here. And I would love to hear from everyone. If you would care to share your experience in the chat or any reflections on today's practice. Again, we always come at this knowing that each practice is something new and something different. Even if you've done the same one 100 times before, each time it's different. Therefore, each time is a slightly different experience and impression that you may get. So would love to hear anything you would like to share with the group today. So I certainly, again, I try to practice what I preach. I really do, because this is not necessarily something that comes intuitive to me either. And so I am very often reminding myself, especially with uh, having a teenage daughter, that I need to reset my nervous system. So I I know the importance of this, but I also know how challenging it can be in some of those moments. Um, so we've got a few impressions thus far. I love this. It felt like a brief roadside rest break from a busy highway for the nervous system to me. I really like that image. We're barreling down the highway at, breakneck speeds, trying to get wherever it is that we're going. How can we sometimes take a roadside stop as necessary, to make sure that we are gassed up, right? And thank you for recognizing our struggles and helping us to relax. Someone asked, how often should we do this? I would say even in a 10 to 30-second increment, this can be something that has cumulative effects. So honestly, whenever you feel like you need it, whenever you may notice cues that perhaps your nervous system is giving you that I might be a bit overloaded right now. And so, for some people, that is throughout the day. For some people, they have a check-in at the end of the day with themselves and have a concerted, 5 to 10 minutes that they do something like this. So truly just depends on what is going to fit into your life and what you feel like is most helpful. And let's see, some people, noted that there was, that they had noticed some of their Parkinson symptoms, and then for some, it assuaged a little bit. Oh, I love this. I felt compassion for my nervous system. I, I I think so often we are so judgmental of what our nervous system is telling us. It's like, oh, don't be so reactive. Stop stressing out. Stop, getting overwhelmed. Stop it. And it's doing the best it can. It's doing its best to protect us. It's doing its best to make sure that we have what we need. So to be able to show it that sense of compassion, I think that is actually what more so helps it to calm down rather than us telling it to calm down, right? And someone said, found it hard to appreciate the extra second or so on the exhale and that it didn't feel helpful. And if that isn't something that felt intuitively good for you, that's okay. Everyone has a different, what we call resonance breath, which is how long of an inhale and how long of an exhale helps to elicit our parasympathetic rest and digest response. And that's something I actually do with folks with biofeedback training is we look at what is the best resonance breath for them. And so if that didn't feel comfortable for you, that's okay. Perhaps a more measured and equal in breath and out breath is better. Perhaps a longer inhale and shorter exhale may feel better. Everyone's brain and nervous system is a little bit different. These are guidelines, not hard and fast rules. Uh, and, uh, and someone had mentioned as a care partner, when you asked me to say I am safe, I heard myself saying we are safe, and it's hard to let go even in that moment. And I think that's something to appreciate too, how much we hold on to that we don't even recognize. Again, I talk about that backpack of stress. We carry it around so much that we don't even recognize how much we're often carrying. And so I think that that is an important and crucial point of appreciation for what your body is doing for you. And someone had asked, can I effectively use this to help me get back to sleep when I wake up at 4 a.m.? Absolutely. I think that is something to experiment with. And this is something that I'll often tell my patients to try. And so even if it's at night, you wake up suddenly, you're feeling very alert in the dark for no apparent reason, you can do the same thing. Feel the mattress beneath you. Maybe notice the room, any soft light or any sounds, and then slowly, gently exhale and breathe. And just let yourself know in this moment, I am safe. My nervous system is allowed to rest and see how that goes. Okay. I over, and I know we're right at our time, and I want to be respectful of that. So thank you so much for being here. And I'm hearing a lot of individuals say that even just taking a few moments like this can be so valuable. So recognize that this is not something you have to do for, hours on end every day in order to reap benefit. Again, even 10 to 30 seconds of doing this throughout the day can provide a powerful effect. So allow yourself an imperfect practice and you will still so greatly reap the benefits. So thank you for going on this journey with me today. And I'll hand it over to Krista for
Mm.
closing statements.
Thank you, Dr. Rush. Really appreciate you guiding our nervous systems into hopefully a calmer tone and resonance as we move through our day and our week. And thank you to all of you for joining us today. We do hope to see you back in February. Our next live English session will be on February 2nd. So until then, may you continue to perhaps offer some gratitude to your body, how hard it's working, your nervous system for keeping you safe, and for Dr. Rush for reminding us that we can choose to tune in and pause, even for those brief moments. We'll see you soon. Bye bye.